Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock on a Sunday and it's time for a review show special. Now this is where I take a deep dive into a particular company or a particular organization or a particular creator and I examine their body of work and I have a look at maybe 3 or 4 tricks, or I take a deep dive into one particular trick. And today I'm going to be looking at Astor Magic. Now, if you've never heard of Astor Magic before, Astor has been creating and releasing magic for many, many years. I remember him at the very first magic convention I ever went to. It feels like he was there. I don't know if he was. It feels like he was there right from day one. He releases a lot of magic. Not everything is available through Murphy's. He only puts selected items through Murphy's. So a lot of the stuff that he does, you can only get it directly from him, or if you see him at a convention. He's a regular to magic convention, so he will you will probably bump into him at a lot of conventions that you turn up at. He's always at Blackpool and places like that, and his material is always very clever. He has very clever techniques. Now, I've reviewed some of his stuff on this channel in the past and I've not liked it. It's not been particularly great. But other things that I've reviewed, I've loved. And I wouldn't say he's hit and miss. I think he's more hit than miss. But even the stuff that I haven't liked, it's always been an interesting method. It's always been a practical method. The stuff that he does works in the real world. There's no denying that. It's just sometimes I don't think it's as good. Some of the things he brings out aren't as good as other things. But honestly, some of the best tricks I've seen are by Astor. So some of the things he does are incredible. Now, when he goes to magic conventions, he has a whole, but he's been creating magic for years. So he has so many different things and he has a big selection of material that's maybe a little bit older. And he always does a special deal. If you buy 4, you get it for a very special price, depending on the convention. So I'm looking at 4 older items, because then if you see him at a convention and you like any of these, you can get a discounted rate on them. But I'm going to look at 4 older items from Astor. Now, if you want to see more stuff from Astor Magic in the future and you want me to do another review show on maybe more of the current stuff that he's got coming out, then please let me know and I'll do that as well. But without further ado, let's get straight into this review show special and have a look at the first trick by Astor Magic. So the first trick that we're going to be looking at by Astor Magic is old school. And what I mean by old school is it doesn't even come with instructional tutorial. It's all done old school with a piece of, an A4 piece of paper with coloured photographs. But to be honest, this is very, very easy to do, so you don't need anything else other than that. This particular trick is Longitudinal Access Penetration by Astor. No gimmicked banknotes or credit card, very easy to do, no angle restrictions. Gimmick is ready-made and ready to go. And what he's just said there is very true. Now, I'm not going to say anything about this straight away. I'm going to let you see a performance of it. If you've not seen it before, it's quite a fooling trick. I'm going to show you a performance of it, and then when I've done that, we'll talk about what we think. It's a really cool illusion using a piece of plastic. It's kind of like a little wallet thing. And there's 2 20-pound notes in there. And you can check that out and make sure it's okay. You'll notice it opens and it closes. That's all it does. It just kind of opens and closes. There's nothing really too exciting about it.
Yeah, it's a weird little thing, isn't it?
Weird little thing. But you know, like I do the illusion show, and I put girls in boxes and make them disappear and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is kind of like a version of that.
Okay.
A close-up version. But I'm going to use 2 assistants, and both of them are called Elizabeth. So you can have a look at Elizabeth #1 and check her out and make sure she's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll put her back inside there, and when she's in there, she's trapped and able to move, right? And then we'll take Elizabeth's #2. She has a harder job here because she's upside down. But you can check that one out as well. Make sure that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll put Elizabeth #2 back in her little compartment. And finally, we need a sword to put through. I haven't got a sword. Have you got like a credit card or something like that? That would be amazing.
Yeah, got the company fuel card.
Oh well, oh well. So that's going to be like our sword. So we've got the 2 20-pound notes right there inside the little envelope thing, yeah?
Yeah.
Inside a little seat. And the reason I've made it see-through so that you can see them in there the whole time. It's not like I've moved them into a different direction or anything like that. That fair?
Yeah.
So this is what an illusion would look like, look. Right through the middle. I can actually take it and push it through like that. And I can actually show that that card really is going right through Elizabeth number 1 and Elizabeth number 2. Now, you can actually pull it out from the other side, and you can see it really does go through. And the thing is, it's only an illusion, because you see, if I take that out, you'll see that Elizabeth number 1 and Elizabeth number 2 is unharmed. There is absolutely nothing to see. All we have, no holes, no magnets, just 2 £20 notes, and my little wallet, and that's the trick.
How weird's that? What? Does my face look like his face right now?
Yeah, yeah. So that's the routine. That is the longitudinal access penetration. Now, you saw Matt's reaction to this. This is really good in many ways. There is one glaring negative. And the glaring negative is, what the hell is this? This is like nothing on God's green earth. This is a piece of plastic that's like made to fold in the middle, and what is it? If you can get past that, because this is obviously designed to do a magic trick. This is obviously designed to do a magic trick. But if you can get past that, then this is a really clever method, and it's one of those tricks that works with polymer notes as well as it does paper notes. Now, the nice thing is, you saw me use my own £20 notes for this, and you can very easily use your own £20 notes or £10 notes or whatever currency it is that you're using, or you can borrow the notes for this. That's absolutely fine. You can bring this out and explain that it's a little see-through packet and it folds in and out, and you can have them examine it, and then you can borrow the bills and put the bills in here, and then borrow the credit card and go for the penetration. You can absolutely do that. I do like the notes already being in there, because it allows people to check it out and see that nothing happens and nothing weird goes on when you fold it in half, and then you borrow the credit card and you put it through. But it's totally up to you, whichever way you want to go with it. It's fine. But the positives of this, first of all, it's very fooling. It really is. If you're, anybody who is anybody in magic will tell you that borrowing items like a credit card and doing stuff with borrowed items is very, very strong, especially if you're doing things with money. This is a very clean penetration. It's very different to like a pen through anything or your typical way of penetrating a banknote, misled or anything like that. This is completely different, and it feels like it's very impossible, because the banknotes just about fits inside each section, and when you fold it up, you can see it from both sides. It's not like you've done anything, and it's see-through, so you can see through it the whole time. So you can see that there's nothing going on this side, there's nothing going on this side, and then with seemingly no moves, because by the time you've got it in this position, you're done. With seemingly no moves, you can take that credit card and you can push it through, and when it's pushed through, you can show it from every single side, and then they can take it out, and immediately you can open it again, and you can show that there's no harm that's come to the bills, and you can take the bills out and have the bills examined. This can be examined again. Even if they take the bills and put them inside, they're not going to find the secret. It's very, very examinable. Now, I think the way to present this is to do what I did, which is to talk about stage illusionists locking women inside boxes and putting swords through them, and hey, would you like to see the close-up version of that? Because this kind of then justifies this prop in a certain extent. It's like, hey, you see the illusionists with the big fancy boxes, right? I haven't got the space for the big fancy boxes, but I have got this. Now, a lot of the illusionists, they use see-through boxes, so I've got a see-through piece of plastic here, and you kind of go into it that way, right? That works. It's only one moment of magic. It's only one penetration. The thing goes in and it comes out. But you can then go into something else if you want to. So you could then take the £20 notes out, maybe hold on to one of them, say maybe there's something to do with this. Let me put this away. Let me get a pen, and maybe do Perfect Pen by John Cornelius or something else. It's a nice way. It's a great way to start a penetration routine. It's also very easy to do. I'll be honest, when I first read the instructions, I was a little bit confused because even though there's lots of photos, it was kind of a little bit difficult to follow initially, and how it actually, what was going on. I needed the prop in my hands. I needed the bills in my hand in order to actually figure out what I was meant to do. But yeah, I mean, it packs small. It plays big, 100%. You can just literally put this into your pocket, and when you want to do it, you can bring it out, you can put it away. It's an instant reset. So at the end of the routine, when you put the bills back inside there and you fold it up like this and you put this back into your pocket, you're reset, ready to go again. Or if you're borrowing the bills, you just give them the bills back, you put it into your pocket, and you're reset, ready to go again. So it's easy to do. You don't need a table. Because it can all be done walk around. You don't need a table at all. There's no angle issues, really. Very easy. I'm bordering on self-working, I'd say, to be perfectly honest. And uses borrowed objects. There's a lot to like about this. This is a really strong trick. And be honest, before I actually got this, I'd never even heard of it before. I'd never even seen anyone talk about this before. But it's a very logical, very clever way to achieve a penetration of 2 bills. I always look at routines and tricks. When I review them, I look at them and go, if I'd have created this, if I'd have come up with this idea, would I be happy? And I'm telling you right now, if I'd come up with this, I'd be over the moon. I'd be like, oh my gosh, look, I've figured it out, and look, you can push it through. It's got that toy factor. It's a little bit like Tenyo in a way. It's a very unusual method, and it's a fun thing to play with. You watch it and you see it, that you're doing it, and you see it happening, and it's like a really fun method for the trick. So yeah, it's good. I like it. I'm going to give it 95%. It's the sort of thing that you can throw in your case. It doesn't take up any space at all, and you're ready to do this miracle whenever you want to. So 95%, it's really good. Let's now have a look at the next trick from Astor Magic. Okay, so the next trick by Astor Magic is called Numbered. The predicted card is not only card numbered in the deck, and its exact position is chosen by the spectator. There's only one predicted card, a free choice of any number from 1 to 52. No switches, no double faces, no thin cards, no rough and smooth. Just one deck of bicycle cards. Very easy to do. Free app included. And you know, all of that is very true. It says basically it's a card at any number trick, but on steroids. In similar effects, the card is at the place chosen by the spectator, the predicted card, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. It's not any card at any number. It's a card at any number, because you're openly saying to people, hey, this card is going to appear at this number. In fact, if you haven't seen it before, I'm going to do a performance of this. So let's have a look at the number. I'm going to perform it on Matt, and then when I've done that, we'll talk about what we think. Okay. Uses a pack of cards. Now, I'm going to tell you ahead of time, I know what card you're going to end up with. And I'm going to prove to you that I've made an open prediction. I've put there a Queen of Hearts.
Okay.
I think you go from a different deck. I think you're going to end up with a Queen of Hearts. Now, I've put a little yellow sticker there. That's going to become important later on. We're going to write something on that sticker using that whiteboard marker that I've got there. But I think I'm making the bold claim that I know exactly what card you're going to end up with. You're going to end up with the Queen of Hearts. Now, bearing in mind, there's 52 cards in the deck, and you could end up with any one of these. I know you're going to end up with the Queen of Hearts. Now, there are 52 cards in this deck, and if I ask you to name a number, psychologically, most people go for the same number. So we're going to do this at random. I found an app on the App Store the other day, and it's called Counter. You see it there, Counter. And when you open it up, very simply, it's the stupidest app in the world. It basically is just a counter. So when you tap the screen, it's a random card generator or a random position generator. It cycles up to 52 and then goes at the beginning again. And when you tap it, it's going to end up on a number, in this case 30.
Okay.
And if you tap it again, it'll continue from the number that it stopped at. And then if you tap it again, it'll end up on a number, in this case 18. It's a really fair way of having a random number generated, because psychologically, if I asked you to name a 2-digit number, a lot of the time, if you say 2 digits, both numbers different, both numbers odd, or something like that, you can force people into something like 37. I don't know if you're thinking of 37. Psychologically, that's one that a lot of people think of. Okay. This is going to randomize it completely. The yellow sticker is here purely because whatever number you end up with, you're going to write it on that sticker. Okay. The reason I'm using whiteboard marker is I can rub it off afterwards. Okay. So with that in mind, 52 cards in the deck, 52 cards, 52 possibilities. I'm going to put the deck over there. I'm not going to touch it. You're going to tap the screen. That will start the counter. And any time you want that counter to stop, just tap the screen. It's up to you when. Okay, now this trick is all about choices. If you want to stick with 35, you can. If you want to go with a totally different number, you can start the counter again. It's totally up to you. Bearing in mind, I'm counting down to the number.
Should we go again?
Yeah.
$19.
19.
You happy with 19, or do you want to go again?
Are we happy with 19, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll take
We're happy with
19.
19.
Okay, so I'm going to write that there. 1, 9. Worst pen ever. But
Not great.
Not great, but we got 19.
We know what it is.
19. Now, here's the thing. You could have ended up on any number. I gave you a chance to change your mind again if you wanted to. If you hadn't changed your mind your first time, we would have ended up on 35. But you said 19. So I'm going to deal 19 cards down to the table. Make sure I don't do any special deals or anything like that. That is 1. That is 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That's the 19th card. Now, 18 would have been the 10 of clubs. 20 would have been the 7 of hearts. You could have, if you'd gone to 35, it could have been anything like the 4 of clubs. You could have ended up anywhere. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
But you ended up at one position and one position only. And the position you ended up in is here. If I told you that was the Queen of Hearts, that would be a good trick, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
What if I told you I didn't just know that you would pick the Queen of Hearts, but I knew the number that you would pick? I did. Because not only is that the Queen of Hearts, but it's the only card with a little yellow sticker on that says 19.
Oh my God, how good's that? Wow.
Now, that's numbered, right? And it's very clever. It is very clever. I especially like the app. You get a free app with it. I say it's an app. It's not really an app. It's a web app. You get a link, and then you open that link on your home page, and that becomes the app, right? It works like an app, and it works offline, which is kind of cool. And I like the use of the app in this particular trick to be able to achieve what you're trying to achieve here. I think I do like it. I'm kind of torn with this because although I like it, I think that there's a lot more you could have done with this method. I think the app part of it is the cleverest part. I think the problem that we have here, and I don't know if I'm right or not, and I am going to do this on a review show, revisit it, but I think the problem that we've got is when you deal down to the position in the deck, like 42, for example, or whatever it may be, and you show the card and it's the only one with a sticker on and it predicts the Queen of Hearts, I really think that people are going to want to look at every other card in the deck. And the reason I think people are going to want that is because that's just so impossible. It's the added sticker, which makes this different to any card at any number. It's its greatest strength, and it's also its greatest weakness, in my opinion, because that's a really nice visual. When you deal down to the number and you turn the card over and it's the card and it's got the little sticker on with the number on it, it's great. But the problem with it is, I think people will want to examine the deck because it's so impossible that sticker's on there. I think they're going to look at the rest of the cards, and you can't. It's a very unexaminable deck. Now, that's not a problem in certain situations. There's certain tricks, and you know that I've released many tricks with gaff decks before, and examinability hasn't been an issue. But I think that this screams, let me look at those cards, and you can't examine the cards, and I think that's the problem here. Also, I think that there's other ways of achieving this effect that are cleverer. Not that this isn't clever, this is clever, but I don't know. I think that the number thing, although it looks really good when the number's on there, logically, I don't think it adds anything to the trick. And what I mean by that is you can't shuffle the cards. It's not like you're shuffling the cards because you can't. Unless you can do a bloody brilliant full shuffle, you're not going to be able to. And even then, I think you'd struggle because of how the cards are made. But you have to put the deck down on the table, right? So the presentation is you put the deck down on the table and you've got a prediction of a card at that position. You say, hey, I've made a prediction. We'll get back to this a little bit later on. whatever you're going to do. You then have them pick a number, and you deal down to that number, and the card matches the prediction that you showed at the beginning, right? But the problem is, it's not like you've shuffled the cards. So the predictions cancel each other out, if you know what I mean. It's like you've predicted that you knew it was the Queen of Hearts, and you've got 19 on there. But if you knew that it was given 19th position, that's a bit anti-card. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking this as a magician. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But I just think that the use of the sticker hasn't really added anything to the trick. I think if you just said, hey, what number do you want? 19. I'm going to deal down to the 19th position. And when I do, the 19th position is the card. I think that would be just as strong. I don't think the sticker being on the card really adds anything other than a nice visual when you turn it over. But the problem with the sticker being on there is I think it encourages people to want to examine the deck, which they can't. And I think if you weren't being laboured, but with the sticker, if the sticker wasn't a factor, I think that you could have a cleaner method where the cards could be partially examined, or the method would cancel itself out, if that makes sense. So it's frustrating because there are parts of this that I really do like, and the thinking behind it is very clever. I just don't think this in itself is particularly a great trick. I think that the use of the app is clever. I think the use of the stickers is clever, but I think that it causes a problem which Astor doesn't really cover. It's not like we get a very long tutorial. We don't. It's a very short tutorial and a performance, and that's all we get. and the tutorial doesn't really talk about what to do if the cards are wanted to be examined or something like that. We don't get that. We literally just get a tutorial explaining how the trick works. So put it this way. I own this trick. I can perform this trick. I've just performed it. Next time I go and do a gig, which is tomorrow, and I go out and I want to do an any card at any number, that's not even going to be in the running. It's not going to be anywhere near the running, because even though it does have something that a lot of other any card at any numbers don't have, or card at any numbers don't have, I don't think that's enough to make it a better trick. And I think it screams examinable, examinability issues, and this deck just can't be examined at all. So pros and cons, but generally as a rule, it's not very good. So it's not great. I'll be honest. I like Astor. I think he's a great guy. I think a lot of his magic is really good. I think this is a bit of a miss. So I'm going to give this 50%. It's okay, and there's elements that I like, but I'm never going to do it. Okay, so this is a stark contrast to the number trick, because this one I do really like. It's called the Eliminator. I think the artwork's really good on this as well. It's called the Eliminator. Easy to master and perform. Perform for 1 or 2 spectators, ready to go. And this is by Astor and Glambos, whoever that is. This is a gambling effect where the spectators have a chance to win a banknote with no financial risk. There are 2 envelopes, one red, one black. In one of these envelopes is a banknote. From a shuffled deck of cards, the spectators eliminate cards until there's 1 left. The spectators can win the banknote if the colour of the last card matches with the colour of the envelope with the banknote, but this never happens. The routine can be formed for 1, 2, or even 3 spectators. And that's all very true. It's a really strong trick. I really like this one. I'm going to do a performance of it to Matt so you can see exactly what it looks like. Let's have a look at a performance, and then after the performance, I'll talk about the pros. Matt, it's called Eliminator because you're going to eliminate cards. Okay. I'll tell you right now, you're going to end up with one of these envelopes. I think I know which envelope you're going to end up with. Okay. And I'm willing to bet money on it.
Oh, God.
Now, you don't have to bet anything, I am.
Oh, okay, same.
But there's 2 envelopes, and here's how it's going to work. In a second, you're going to end up with one of those envelopes. Okay. Okay. And how it's going to work, very, very simply, is I've got a pack of cards here, yeah? Yeah. And I'll mix them up. And the idea is, you know as well as me, in a deck of cards, there's 26 red cards, and there's 26 black cards, right? Yeah. And I have a black envelope, and I have a red envelope.
Then we can see where this is going.
So you're going to eliminate cards until you're left with 1 card. Okay. My job here is to try and influence you to end up in the envelope I want you to end up with. But I'm going to try and influence you. You've got to try and stop me from influencing you. Okay? Okay. And we're going to do it as fair as we can. I'm going to spread the cards out on the table like this. And I want you to divide the cards into 2 piles. Now, you could divide it right in the middle. You could divide it up here, so they're on it's totally up to you. I want to 2 sections. We're going to have 2 sections. Wherever you want to is fine. You want to eliminate all of those, to be clear, right? Well, actually, it's your choice. Do you want to eliminate these, or do you want to eliminate these? Whichever ones you choose, we'll get rid of them, and we'll be left with the others.
Get rid of them.
You want to get rid of all of these, yes?
Mm-hmm.
They're gone. Okay. So, we'll do this again. We've still got all of these. Split them into 2 again. Okay. And which ones do you want to eliminate?
Them.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Positive? They're gone. We'll do it again with these. Which ones do you want to eliminate?
Them.
These are the ones that you want to go this time, yes?
Yeah.
That's interesting. They're gone.
Okay.
We'll do it one more time. Which ones do you want to eliminate?
Them.
You sure?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, gone. This time we'll do it differently. We're going to eliminate all these until we've got 1 left. I want to take these and hold them as if you're about to deal. You're going to put 1 card face down underneath and 1 card face down onto the table. And you're going to keep doing that underneath onto the table until you're left with 1 card.
Should have picked a smaller pile.
So you've eliminated all of these cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is fair, right? I mean, this is super fair. You could have ended up on 1 card and 1 card only. Remember what I said at the beginning. If that's a red card, then you end up with a red envelope. If that's a black card, you end up with a black envelope.
Okay.
Okay, so what is it?
You want to show you?
Yeah, it's fine. The Ace of Diamonds.
Red.
So that means you end up with a red envelope. And I knew you would end up with a red envelope. And to prove to you that I knew that you'd end up with the red envelope, I actually put something in the black envelope. I actually put a £20 note. You see, I told you you could have won £20. And you made all the choices, and you eliminated cards, and you ended up with 1 envelope, and you ended up with the envelope that didn't have the £20 note in. I knew you'd end up with the red envelope. Now, every single time I do this, people say, Craig, there's a £20 note in each envelope. Now, that would be stupid, because I've told you you can have this envelope. And we're not going to have, I wouldn't give away £20 every time I do this trick, but not only did I know what envelope you'd end up with, even though you were eliminating cards, I knew exactly what card you'd end up with. You made all the choices. And the reason I knew that is because in this envelope, I put a card from a red back deck. And that card was the Ace of Diamonds.
That's so good. I like that.
Okay, so that's the Eliminator, and what you just saw there is exactly what this trick is. It reminds me, the core method has some similarities to the previous trick, numbered, but this is so much better. And the way that Astor is doing the elimination procedure reminds me very much of a Christian Grace trick that came out recently. Or I say recently, in the last year or so, from Vanishing Ink. There's a certain similarity between both how the cards are printed and the methodology behind what Astor's doing and what Christian did. And also Chris Rawlins had a similar sort of thing as well. It's been done before, this kind of approach of eliminating down to 1 card. What Astor has added, which I think really makes a big difference, is the use of the 2 envelopes. Because in essence, what we have here is a prediction. If you actually strip away the envelopes for a second, they eliminate cards down to 1, and then that 1 card is predicted from the very beginning. If there was just 1 envelope with a card in it, and you eliminated down to 1 card, that is, I think Christian's version was called Inevitable Choice. That is a trick that's been done before. It's a great trick. It's a great way of doing it. But I think the addition of the 2 envelopes really makes this trick. because it's no longer about predicting the card. It's no longer about a card trick. What we have here instead is, hey, I'm going to give you a chance to win some money, and I'm so confident that I'm not going to lose. You know, and you go through this whole thing of 2 envelopes. You're going to pick one of the envelopes. If you end up with a red card, you're going to have the red envelope. If you end up with a black card, you're going to have the black envelope. It feels really fair, right? Like really fair. And yet you're in a situation where at the end you can show that the £20 note is in the envelope that they didn't pick, which is really strong. And, you know, I've seen lots of different ways of doing this in the past, but you saw Matt's reaction. Matt thought that was the trick. Oh, yeah, I had a free choice and I was going to end up with a £20 note, but I didn't. And that's a good trick. That's a nice trick. But then you have this kicker ending of the other envelope having a card that matches the card that they ended up on. And that takes the impossibility a step further. It's almost like leading them down the garden path that you know that they're going to go down and then pulling the rug underneath their feet a second later. So yeah, I really like this. I think that if you buy this, I would advise you to look at Inevitable Choice. I'm sure it's Inevitable Choice by Christian Grace, because I think some of the subtleties and some of the sequences and some of the ideas that Christian does in that release could be applied to this. The decks are almost identical. And the way that Astor, the performance I just did was exactly how Astor explains to do it on the tutorial. I didn't want to start bringing Christian's version in and having people see the performance of this and thinking that's what they're getting, because they're not. But if you like this and you want to take the handling up to the next level, use Christian's handling for this trick instead of Astor's handling, but use the envelopes at the end. And I think you're making the best out of both worlds. But it's good. You know, I really like this. It packs small, plays big. It's literally just a pack of cards and a couple of envelopes. It's self-working, really. Like the previous routine, it's not examinable. But the difference is, I don't think people are going to want to examine this. I think the heat is on the envelopes. The heat is not on the deck. And hopefully you can see what I mean in the previous routine now. With this particular trick, I'm constantly they're seeing faces of cards the whole time. It feels like everything's very fair. And yet they're ending up on a particular card that obviously is forced. With the previous routine, they're not really seeing faces at all. They're only seeing a couple of faces. And then you get to the point, and the cards can't be shuffled. That's the other thing. With the previous trick numbered, the cards can't be shuffled at all. This trick, they can be shuffled because all of those they're set up in a cyclical way. So, yeah, I really like it. I think it's great in actual fact. I'd say it's on par with the best trick out of these 4 that I'm reviewing. So I'm going to give it 95%. Buy it and use it on your own and you're going to have an amazing trick. But if you look into Christian's routine as well and you combine the 2 methodologies, I think you're going to have something really special. Okay, so the final trick we're going to be looking at today is Ring and Chain by Astor. Easy to do, works with any ring and chain. Ring and chain. The magician fishes out the spectator's wedding ring from a purse with the help of a chain. The magician gives the chain with the linked on ring to the spectator, allowing her to take it herself. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let you see a performance to Matt. Let's have a look at this performance, and then I'll talk about what I think. So I've got a little pouch here, Matt. It's a little pouchy pouch.
A little pouchy pouch.
And you can check inside there. You'll just make sure that there's no weirdness going on. I know there's something in there. We'll get back to that in a minute. Okay?
Yeah.
And you'll see that inside there we have a chain. Now, you can use any chain for this, but I want you to make sure it doesn't come apart. Some people think it's like magnetically locking or something like that.
Oh, no, it's actually metal.
Oh, it's a real chain, yeah. We okay?
Yeah.
Cool. There's one other thing that we need, as well as the chain and the pouchy pouch. I need to borrow a ring.
Chain and the pouch. Oh, from me?
Yeah, any ring. Just a ring.
They don't really come...
Does one of them come off?
Ah!
That looked like painful.
It was painful. That's the one that comes off. The other 2 don't.
All right, okay. Well, ouch is all I can say with that.
Yeah, it's not
I'm just going to pop that in there. That's fair, right?
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And we're going to get back to that in a minute. I put it inside there so I can't do any sleight of hand or anything dodgy. Then I'm going to take the chain and we're going to put the ends together. That's how you find the middle of the chain. You put the ends together and you know exactly where the middle is then, yeah?
Yeah.
The reason for that is I'm going to pop the middle inside the pouch, or the pouchy pouch, with, but only the middle. And then I'm going to drop the ends on either side of the pouchy pouch. Is that fair?
The pouchy pouch.
The pouchy pouch. This is the pattern stuff. Are you ready? I'm going to try and do this. So this is fair, right? It's an examinable pouch, examinable chain, your ring. See if I can do this. This is kind of like fishing, but more magical. Can you see that, Michael? Is that okay?
Yeah.
1, 2. I don't know how that looked. But now I've got that ring of yours right there on the chain. Check that out.
What?
Try it yourself if you want.
Try it myself.
Oh, it might work. Probably won't. You don't have the magic. Okay, so that's ring and chain, and I have to be honest, I don't particularly like this, and there's a few reasons why I don't like it. The first reason is I think it's very convoluted, and there's a lot of props to achieve a very simple trick. If you actually think here, what we have is we have a one-phase ring-on-string routine using a purse and a chain. Now, there's no discernible difference to a spectator between a chain and between a string, right? There's no discernible difference. So what we have here is we have a purse. You drop the ring inside, you dip the chain in, and it's linked, right? Now, in the performance to Matt, you saw that I had the purse examined at the beginning and at the end, and that's because it comes with two purses. It comes with a gimmicked purse and it comes with a regular purse. There's nothing really on the instructions about switching the purses in and out. As I'm sitting down, it was very easy for me to switch the purses in and out using a little bit of misdirection. I wouldn't be able to do that in a gig because I'm going to be standing up. I'm not going to be sitting down. I think the switches would be a little bit more difficult. But I think that you need to switch it because I think that the purse is very gimmicked. Like, it is very gimmicked. It's also quite angly. You can only really see it from a 180-degree angle. If you're further than side on, you're not going to be able to see this. But like I say, in essence, what we have is a chain linking a ring. That's like a one-phase ring-on-string routine. Look at Mark Leverage's ring-on-string routine, for example. He has a ring in his hand. He dips the middle of the thing, he dips the middle of the shoelace in, and he comes out, and now it's on the shoelace, and it's that clean. Well, that's exactly the same thing as we have here, but instead of a chain, we have a shoelace, and instead of using a purse, we have Mark's hand. But other than that, it's exactly the same thing, right? I don't really see what this adds. Like I said at the beginning of the review, I think it's very convoluted. I think that when the ring goes in, there's no real reason for the ring going into the purse. There's a reason from a methodological point of view. You have to put the ring in the purse in order for the trick to work, but there's not really a reason to put it in there from a presentational point of view. Yes, you can say, I'm going to put it in there so I can't do sleight of hand, but you know, you could hold it in your hand. I don't know. Then you have this moment where you dip in, you need to dip out, and I don't know how that came across on camera. I think it might have come across okay. I've practiced it a few times, but it doesn't look very good really from my angle. It doesn't look very good from the side. From direct on, it might look okay, but it's not the best looking move, if that makes sense. It's something that's a little bit dodgy looking, and that would be fine. All of these issues, the unexaminable purse, the fact that it's only one phase and there's a lot of procedure to get to that one phase, all of these problems wouldn't be an issue if this was the most mind-blowing, amazing trick of all time. But what we have here is basically one phase of a ring and string routine, but not as good because you're not holding the ring in your hand. Instead, you're putting the ring away inside a purse. So you're adding an extra element into this, into a classic trick that doesn't even need to be added into it, if that makes sense. So it's not great. I'm not a big fan, in all honesty. It doesn't look very good at all. I think it's quite easy to work out. I think that when you pull it out and they see their ring there. I don't think you've got enough natural misdirection at that point to switch the purse, but I think you're going to have to switch the purse, because at that point I think people are going to want to look at the purse, and I could be wrong, but I don't know. And you can have your own chain. Yes, you can use your own chain. He supplies a chain. He supplies 2 purses. He supplies the ring. He supplies everything that you need to get going. There's like a 7 or an 8 minute tutorial, which really is all there needs to be. You don't really need anything else. It's a fairly simple trick to explain. I just don't think it's that great. I think there's better ways of achieving this. I think there's better ways of doing this. I think it's very difficult to routine this into a longer routine, unlike a ring and string routine. I just think there's lots of negatives and no positives. So I'm going to give it 40%. It's not recommended. It's not very good. I've seen better ways of achieving this. So there you go, guys. That is another review show special in the bag. Now, you can get all of these tricks directly from Astor Magic. The link is going to be in the description down below. Now it's over to you. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts. Have you bought from Astor before? Have you got any of these tricks? What do you think? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Inquiring minds want to know. You want to see more videos like this? Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget, if you haven't already done so, join the NETRIX. It's www.thenetrix.com. And I'm going to be back again tomorrow at 6 o'clock. With another Magic Live, and I'm going to be back throughout the day with other videos. But thank you once again for watching. My name's Craig from Magic TV.